So we've got a lot to discuss today. We have so many things that have come to light. Final Fantasy XVI, baby. We are just given a lot of information, interviews, some previews. Everything is out in the open, and there's a lot to go over. So we're definitely going to be dedicating a big segment to this, but I'll have timestamps below if you don't care about Final Fantasy XVI. But we will also be talking about Forspoken and Luminous and what's happening with them. And lastly, we'll be talking about some Elden Ring DLC being confirmed. Quickly, before we jump into that, if you do me a huge favor, like, subscribe, share the video. It really goes a long way, and I appreciate it a ton. Now let's talk about Final Fantasy XVI and everything new that has come to light outside of the minutia of like the story, right? I'll leave that for the big channels that really cover Final Fantasy like that. The Night Sky Princes, you get the idea. All this information was basically covered by a ton of different website outlets. All the links will be in the description if you want to check them out yourself. But yeah, it's a ton of different interviews. I've just gathered all the info that I find to be super relevant that we can go over that's not super gritty into the details of the story. So first off, exclusivity was discussed. Yoshi P confirms that FF16 is a 6-month timed exclusive for PS5. However, he told PS Blog it does not mean that the PC version will release in 6 months. He states that he will be clear in saying that there will be no PC release in 6 months. The reason for this is they spent a lot of time and money optimizing the PS5 version to deliver the best experience. He does state that there is a massive desire to release the PC version down the road so more people can enjoy the game, but he said they won't be able to optimize the game for PC in 6 months, and he can't give a time frame on when that could be. So the thing is with this is, number one, yeah, we knew that it was a timed exclusive. It's nice to see that we have an actual time frame on the exclusivity, which is 6 months, but it just shows that they really are passionate about the games that they're making, and they want to deliver the best experience. So them not putting it on a PC right after 6 months just means that they want to truly optimize it for the PC experience, whereas for the PS5, they have a set of hardware that they optimize it to and fine-tune it to, which is a lot easier. So definitely makes sense that they don't want to just go ahead and just port it like haphazardly and like effortlessly, or you know, just in a way that's mediocre to the PC, whereas it's not going to be enjoyed much if the port is bad. And Square Enix has had bad ports in the past, so I really applaud them for that. That's amazing that they want to do that and make sure they give the best experience for PC, even if it does take a little bit longer. He also comments on delays. He confirms that the only way there will be a delay is if a meteor falls on Japan. So in other words, he's saying there is no delay. There's not going to be a delay. There's no delay in sight. They are set. They are ready to go for their release date. They also discuss a demo, and apparently there is a demo planned, according to the director, who says trial version is planned. However, it will be delivered just before the release date. And he basically says the desire to play the game fades away if he puts it out months before release. They're talking about already planning a trial version, but they believe that it's going to be delivering the beginning of the story about 2 weeks before the release date. So once you've played the game to the point you're interested in, you can go in straight to the purchase screen and continue playing with that data. So crossover progression from the demo or trial version. So it's pretty much the full beginning of the game, like the complete version, but it's going to give you the option that if you enjoy this, hey, you can pay for it and continue it without having to start all the way from the beginning. So that is a win-win-win situation. I think that's amazing the way that they're going to do that. So that way, if you're playing the demo or trial version, you're like, hey, I kind of dig this. You could just continue playing the full version. You don't have to go back and redo that again. So really like this idea. 2 weeks before release makes sense, given that, you know, they want to release an actual legitimate version that's going to continue once the full game comes out. Now, we also have an update on New Game Plus and difficulties. In an interview with Gematsu, Takai says, New Game Plus, which carries over your play data, and you are able to play the game again, and you can do that in story-focused mode or action-focused mode. But for the New Game Plus, we also have a third mode that we introduced called the Final Fantasy mode, which not only is more difficult, but also changes enemy placement and the enemies that you fight. So it's a completely different experience. It isn't just a harder version, it's a completely different type of experience. They also add that there will be leaderboards in a scoring mode as well. So this is really cool because that means replayability is high. That means that once you complete the game, you're going to want to jump back in because you're going to want to see what else the game has to offer. Also, the addition of leaderboards, adds a competitive aspect to it. So I feel like these are all great additions that are going to enhance the game overall and give you more replay value, which is something that we need, especially with games increasing in price. When it comes to influence, Takai admits that God of War was a huge influence on him when designing FF16. He also states being a huge fan of God of War and importing God of War 1 because he didn't want to wait a year for the Japanese version to release. So don't be surprised if you're playing this and you're like, oh, this kind of is reminiscent of God of War because it's so narrative driven and the gameplay is over the shoulder, I guess. And there was a statement, I believe it was by GameSpot, that said, this kind of resembles God of War a little bit when you're playing it. And it's normal. God of War is a huge IP, a very successful one. So getting influence from God of War, there's nothing wrong with that. I applaud that for sure. When it comes to the length of the game's main story is 35 to 40 hours long with 11 hours of cutscenes. With side content, the game is about 70 hours long, according to the director. So that's a ton of content, guys. 35 to 40 hours for the main story alone is pretty incredible. Granted, 11 hours is cutscenes, but that doesn't take away the amount of content there is in the beginning or in the main story of the game. The side content makes it even more interesting with an extra 30 hours. 70-hour long game, that's pretty hype, man. That is definitely hype. There's a lot of exciting stuff there as well. So there's a ton of side content. It's kind of described as like hunts and side quests and stuff like that. So hopefully it's meaningful content, because I feel like if you're gonna have side content, it's got to be meaningful. Given the kind of the vibe I'm getting from everybody's previews, it seems like it is going to be very, very fruitful, and I think that this game is likely going to impress a lot of people. Now, lastly, they talk about why the PS5 was integral to the development of the game, and the combat director says, if we didn't have the memory that the PS5 has, and also the transfer speed of the PS5 SSD, we would still be in development right now. So basically, the PS5 was integral to how fast they developed the game and also how good the game is and seamless it is in the way it transitions from scene to scene. And he describes that further in the article, but I mean, I'm not going to go through all of the different descriptions that he gives. Just know that the PS5's SSD is really a part of, and the speed is really a part of why the game's transitions are so seamless that you don't even really notice what's happening in the background in terms of loading. So really impressive. So that's kind of everything that I took from all the articles that I read, all the interviews, everything about Final Fantasy XVI. It is overly positive. People are so excited about this game, and it makes me happy because we really needed a major hit for Final Fantasy in terms of a new mainline entry. I'm not talking about 7 Remake, and this is not a shot at 7 Remake, but this is really exciting for Final Fantasy fans who wanted a new mainline entry, and we've been waiting since 15. So really exciting stuff. I can't wait to see if this game really is all it's cracked up to be, but it seems that it is, and it's overly positive, and I'm so excited for it. Let me know what you guys think about all these details, and are you looking forward to FF16? Now, while we're on the topic of Square Enix, we also got an update on Luminous and also on Forspoken. It looks like Square Enix is going to merge Luminous into Square Enix effective Monday, May 1st, 2023. And I'm not going to be that guy that says I told you so, because I understand this is kind of a shitty situation, although it's nice to hear nobody's losing their jobs as far as we know. They're basically turning into what I believe to be a support studio for Square Enix games. Meaning that they're really going to just help with development for, Final Fantasy titles and other titles that they're working on. So we're probably never going to see Forspoken 2. I would put money that we're never going to see Forspoken 2. We're probably never going to see them do their independent game. And if they do, maybe down the road, but as of right now, it doesn't look like they're going to be doing that anytime soon, as they are solely looking like a support studio. Unfortunately, this is a sign that Forspoken did not reach the sales numbers that they wanted, maybe just didn't achieve any of the internal goals that they had. And as we know, there was a lot going on around that game. I know that there's an audience that loves it, but it looks like Square Enix was not pleased. And when I originally approached this topic the first few times, that's kind of the message I was trying to relay, is that if Square Enix is not pleased with the results, they're going to either dissolve the studio or that it's going to become a support studio. So it looks like they are becoming a support studio. And that's just kind of where it is. That's what's going to happen. And it's too bad for those that really love Forspoken, because I'm sure you guys would have liked the sequel, but it looks like that's where that ends. On the bright side, they're still doing the DLC. So if you bought the season pass or the Digital Deluxe, I believe it came with the DLC, you are still getting that DLC. They are still going to work on that, and they are going to deliver that. So that's exciting news for anybody who's really looking out for that. But all in all, that's the future of Luminous, and that's what's happening post Forspoken's release. Unfortunately, a flop for Square Enix, and in game development, you don't really get entitled to sometimes not even one flop of a title because it's just so expensive. So it looks like they've kind of just said it there, that's it. They're not giving them another opportunity. Now, lastly, I want to talk to you guys about the new DLC confirmed for Elden Ring. Yes, we're going to be jumping back into Elden Ring. As goes this tweet from @EldenRing. They say, "Rise, Tarnished, and let us walk a new path together. An upcoming expansion for Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree, is currently in development. We hope you look forward to new adventures in the lands between." No confirmation on when, just says that it's in development. So hoping we see this sometime in the near future. Really excited for it. I loved Elden Ring, and I think some DLC will be awesome if it drops this year. But that pretty much wraps it up for today's video. Guys, I'd love to hear from you. What did you think of this Final Fantasy XVI update? How do you feel about Luminous merging with Square and becoming a sports studio? And lastly, how do you feel about this Elden Ring DLC announcement? Are you excited for it? Let me know in the comments. And as always, if you have not subscribed already, please subscribe, like, comment, share the video. Helps the channel a ton. You can follow me on Twitter. Link will be in the description. Thank you all for watching. I'll talk to you on the next one. Take care.